Hey there, you're looking kind of cute. Don't forget to subscribe and check out all my other socials. Enjoy. On the shores of Miami, where the sun shone on the waves, a woman stood and waited for a moment. She wore a long, bright dress with big flower patterns in purple and blue. The dress reached her ankles. Her gold sandals made a sound on the metal ramp as she walked. She stepped toward the large cruise ship, which was shiny under the summer sky. Her hands felt sweaty. This was the start of her adventure. A crew member saw her stop and smiled at her. He greeted her and said, "Welcome aboard." She would have 10 days to be herself without anyone asking questions or making her explain. Grace Wilder, cabin 7284. Here's your keycard. The Lido deck opens in an hour for the sail-away party. Thank you. Her voice came out steady, practiced from countless hours of voice training in her apartment back home. The cabin was modest but comfortable. Grace set her 3 suitcases on the bed and began unpacking. Each piece of clothing represented a choice, a commitment to this journey. She hung the evening gowns first, a black number with sequins along the neckline, a deep emerald dress with a plunging back, a burgundy gown that hugged every curve. Her fingers traced the fabrics, remembering the nervous excitement of shopping for them. A knock interrupted her thoughts. "Champagne delivery, compliments of the cruise line." She opened the door to find a steward holding a silver tray. He didn't blink at her appearance, didn't pause or stare. Just professional courtesy. "Would you like me to pour, ma'am?" "I've got it, thanks." Alone again, Grace sipped the champagne and continued unpacking. Pink leggings and matching sports bras for the morning yoga classes she'd pre-booked. 5 different bikinis. She'd gone overboard there, but each one made her feel more confident than the last. Sundresses in yellow, coral, and white. Shorts and tank tops for casual days. Every item carefully selected to match the woman she saw in the mirror. The ship's horn bellowed, and she felt the subtle shift as they pulled away from port. Through her balcony door, Miami grew smaller. With each mile of ocean between her and the shore, the weight on her shoulders lightened. That first evening, Grace spent extra time on her appearance. The black sequined gown required no bra, and she'd practiced with the adhesive cups until they looked natural. Her brown hair fell in waves past her shoulders. She'd been growing it out for 2 years, refusing to cut it despite the awkward middle stages. Now it framed her face perfectly. Smoky eyes, subtle contouring, glossy lips. The woman in the mirror looked confident, elegant. The main dining room buzzed with first-night energy. Crystal chandeliers cast dancing light across white tablecloths. Grace found her assigned table. She'd specifically requested a smaller one to avoid large group conversations. "You must be Grace. I'm Margaret, and this is my husband, Thomas." The older couple smiled warmly. Margaret wore pearls with her navy dress, and Thomas sported a crisp dinner jacket. "Lovely to meet you both." "First cruise?" Margaret asked, as Grace settled into her chair. "It is, actually." "Oh, you'll love it. We've done 12 now. The freedom of being at sea, no cell phones, no work emails, just pure relaxation." Freedom. The word resonated deeper than Margaret could know. Their waiter appeared, recommending the lobster bisque. Grace ordered it along with the filet mignon, allowing herself to enjoy every moment. The conversation flowed easily. Margaret and Thomas owned a bookstore in Vermont, had 3 grown children, and cruised every winter. "Are you traveling alone, dear?" Margaret asked gently. "I am. Needed some time to find myself, I suppose." Thomas raised his wine glass. "The best journeys are the ones we take for ourselves." They clinked glasses, and Grace felt the first genuine smile in months spread across her face. After dinner, she explored the ship. The casino's lights flashed invitingly, but she passed by, drawn instead to the quiet of the upper decks. Stars emerged as the last light faded from the horizon. She stood at the rail, her dress fluttering in the ocean breeze, and breathed deeply. Beautiful night. A woman about her age stood nearby, red hair pulled back in a ponytail. She wore jeans and a green blouse. "It really is. I'm Sophia, escaping from a rough divorce." "You?" "Grace. Escaping from myself, I guess, or finding myself. Haven't decided which." Sophia laughed. Aren't those the same thing sometimes? They talked until the temperature dropped, discovering shared interests in mystery novels and cooking shows. Sophia worked as a graphic designer in Boston, had 2 cats, and had booked the cruise on impulse after signing divorce papers. Want to grab breakfast tomorrow? I heard the buffet on deck 11 is incredible. I'd like that. Grace returned to her cabin feeling lighter. She hung up the gown carefully, removed her makeup, and slipped into a silk nightgown. The gentle roll of the ship lulled her toward sleep. Morning arrived with sunlight streaming through the balcony door. Grace stretched, momentarily disoriented before remembering where she was. No alarm clock, no rush to get ready for a job where she couldn't be herself. She chose pink leggings and a matching sports bra for yoga, covering up with a loose white tank top for the walk through the ship. Her yoga mat, purple of course, rolled under her arm. The fitness center overlooked the bow, floor-to-ceiling windows providing an endless ocean view. About 15 others had gathered, mostly women, setting up their mats. First time? The instructor, a toned woman in black athletic wear, smiled at Grace. First time on a ship? Yes. I'm Diana. Just follow along and don't worry about being perfect. The ship's movement actually adds an interesting dimension to the practice. Grace positioned herself near the back, but as the class progressed, she found herself losing self-consciousness. The flow of poses, the rhythmic breathing, the encouragement from Diana, it all combined to create a moving meditation. Beautiful form, Diana commented during warrior pose. You've done this before. A bit, home practice mostly. Well, it shows. Hope to see you tomorrow. I teach every morning at 8. After class, Grace met Sophia at the buffet. Her friend had claimed a table by the window, already working through a plate of fresh fruit. How was yoga? Amazing. The instructor was so welcoming. You're glowing. The ocean air suits you. They loaded plates with omelets, pastries, and tropical fruit. Conversation ranged from books to travel dreams to Sophia's ex-husband's inability to load a dishwasher properly. 20 years of marriage, and he never once figured out that bowls go on the top rack. Grace laughed, nearly spilling her orange juice. My ex had different issues, mainly that I wasn't the person he thought he married. Sophia's expression softened. People change. We're allowed to grow. Not everyone sees it that way. Their loss. After breakfast, they parted ways. Sophia to a cooking demonstration, Grace to change for pool time. She stood before the mirror in her cabin, holding up different bikinis. The turquoise one with gold accents won. A sheer white cover-up and her gold sandals completed the look. The pool deck pulsed with music and energy. Grace found a lounger in a quieter corner, applied sunscreen liberally, and settled in with a mystery novel. The warmth seeped into her bones, melting away months of tension. Excuse me, is this chair taken? A younger woman gestured to the lounger beside her. She wore a yellow bikini and oversized sunglasses. All yours. Thanks, I'm Ashley. Love your suit, by the way. Grace, and thank you. Ashley was a nurse from Dallas, traveling with friends who were currently sleeping off the previous night's festivities. I don't know how they do it. 3 drinks, and I'm done. They chatted intermittently between chapters and swimming breaks. Grace found herself relaxing into conversations, no longer analyzing every word for potential landmines. Lunch was a casual affair at the pool grill, a burger and fries that Grace would have denied herself months ago, but now enjoyed without guilt. Her body was changing in other ways now, and strict dieting had become less necessary. The afternoon passed in a blur of sun and sea. She dozed off at one point, waking to find her book had slipped to the deck. As she bent to retrieve it, she caught her reflection in the pool's surface. Brown hair fanned out on the lounger, turquoise against sun-kissed skin. She looked happy. That evening required the emerald gown. Grace paired it with silver heels and delicate drop earrings. She'd mastered a simple updo that showed off the dress's back. Margaret waved her over the moment she entered the dining room. Grace, you look absolutely stunning. Doesn't she, Thomas? Like a movie star, Thomas agreed, pulling out her chair. Tonight's conversation included a couple from Texas who'd joined their table. They owned a ranch and regaled the group with stories of escaped cattle and unexpected wildlife. So there I was, in my pajamas, trying to convince a bull that my vegetable garden wasn't a midnight snack. The woman, Beth, laughed. Did it work? Not even slightly. We put up a better fence the next day. Grace found herself contributing her own stories, carefully edited but genuine. The laughter came easier now. After dinner, Sophia found her by the dessert station. There's a dance class in the Starlight Lounge. Want to embarrass ourselves trying to salsa? Why not? The lounge pulsed with Latin music. An instructor in a red dress that moved like flame demonstrated basic steps. Grace and Sophia positioned themselves near the back, giggling as they tried to follow along. I have 2 left feet, Sophia gasped after stepping on Grace's toes for the 3rd time. I'm not much better. But as the class progressed, Grace found her rhythm. The movement felt natural, freeing. Her dress swished with each turn, and she stopped worrying about perfect technique. You're a natural, the instructor said during a water break. Have you danced before? Not really, just finding my groove, I guess. Well, keep finding it. You light up when you move. The class ended too soon. Grace and Sophia retreated to the deck, breathless and exhilarated. I haven't laughed that hard in years, Sophia said. Me neither. They stood at the rail, watching phosphorescence trail in the ship's wake. Can I ask you something? Sophia's voice was gentle. Earlier, when you mentioned your ex not knowing who he married, was that about... She gestured vaguely at Grace. Yeah, although it took me a while to figure it out myself. That must have been hard. The hardest part was pretending everything was fine when it wasn't. When I finally told him, he said I'd been lying our entire marriage. But I hadn't been lying. I just hadn't understood the truth yet. Sophia squeezed her hand. You're brave. I'm on a cruise in a dress. That's not exactly climbing Everest. Bravery comes in different forms. They stayed until the night air grew cold, then parted with plans for morning coffee. Grace's dreams that night were peaceful. No anxiety about being discovered, no rehearsing conversations in her head, just the gentle roll of waves and possibilities. Day 3 dawned cloudy but warm. Grace chose her yoga outfit, purple leggings this time, with a black sports bra. Diana greeted her like an old friend. Grace, I saved you a spot up front. Oh, I'm fine in the back. Nonsense. Your form yesterday was perfect. Others can follow your example. So Grace found herself in the front row, trying not to think about eyes on her. But as the practice began, self-consciousness melted away. The clouds parted midway through sun salutations, bathing the studio in golden light. Beautiful, Diana murmured, and Grace wasn't sure if she meant the weather or the pose. After class, several women approached her. You make it look so easy, one said. I've been practicing for years and can't hold tree pose that steady. The ship's movement actually helps, Grace offered. Forces you to find your center. She breakfasted alone, enjoying peaceful solitude with her book. The pool deck was less crowded under cloudy skies, so she claimed a prime spot. Today's bikini was coral pink with side ties. Grace, perfect timing! Ashley appeared with 2 frozen drinks, offering one to Grace. I can't day drink, Grace protested. It's vacation. Normal rules don't apply. The drink was sweet and strong. They chatted about Ashley's night. Her friends had discovered the karaoke bar and made questionable song choices. I have video evidence that will ensure good behavior for the rest of the cruise. Around noon, the sun emerged fully. Grace reapplied sunscreen and dove into the pool, reveling in the cool water against heated skin. She floated on her back, brown hair fanning out like seaweed, feeling weightless in every sense. Marco, someone called out. Polo, came the response, and suddenly Grace was part of an impromptu game. She hadn't played since childhood, but muscle memory kicked in. Soon she was laughing with strangers, diving and dodging, forgetting to worry about her voice or her swimming suit or anything beyond the moment. Lunch was a salad by the pool, shared with her new game friends. They were a group celebrating someone's retirement. Grace never caught exactly whose, and they adopted her immediately. You have to come to trivia tonight, one insisted. We need someone who actually reads books. I'll think about it. The afternoon brought a cooking demonstration Sophia had convinced her to attend. They made pasta from scratch, the chef's thick accent making every instruction sound like poetry. Now we make the well in the flour, like a volcano, yes? Grace's volcano collapsed, sending flour everywhere. Sophia fared better until the rolling stage, when her dough stuck to everything. "This is why I have a favorite pizza delivery place," Sophia muttered. But they persevered, eventually producing something resembling fettuccine. The chef praised their efforts diplomatically, while discreetly preparing backup pasta for the tasting portion. "At least we tried," Grace said, picking flour from her hair. "Story of my life." They cleaned up and separated to prepare for dinner. Tonight warranted the burgundy gown and black heels. Grace added a silver necklace and bracelet, keeping jewelry minimal. The dining room buzzed with formal night energy. Men in tuxedos, women in gowns that sparkled under chandeliers. Grace felt like she'd stepped into an old movie. "There's our movie star," Thomas called out. Margaret had outdone herself in royal blue silk. The Texas couple wore matching Western formal wear that somehow worked perfectly. "Y'all clean up nice," Beth said. Wine flowed freely with the 7-course meal. Each dish was a work of art. Grace took photos to remember later. Between courses, couples took to the small dance floor. Thomas and Margaret moved with practiced ease. "They met at a dance," Beth explained. 45 years ago. Still go dancing every Friday." "That's beautiful. What about you, honey? Someone special back home?" "Not at the moment. This trip is about me." "Good for you. Sometimes we need to date ourselves first." After dinner, Grace kept her promise and joined the trivia team. They called themselves Ship-Faced and proved terrible at geography, but excellent at literature and pop culture. Grace secured their victory by knowing Jane Austen's birthday. "You're officially our ringer," the retirement celebrant declared. The group migrated to the piano bar, where a talented performer took requests. Grace found herself singing along to Billy Joel and Elton John, her voice blending with others. No one looked twice at her vocal range. "You have a lovely voice," the woman beside her commented. "Thank you. I don't sing much." "You should. Life's too short to hide our gifts." Near midnight, Grace excused herself. The upper deck called to her, a quiet space to process the day. She stood at the stern, watching the ship's wake disappear into darkness. Couldn't sleep either? Diana appeared beside her, now in jeans and a white sweater. "Just thinking. Penny for them? I feel like a different person out here, like I left someone else on the dock in Miami." "Maybe you did. Maybe that's the point of getting away, to figure out who we are when no one's watching." "But people are watching. You, Sophia, everyone at dinner." "We're seeing who you choose to be right now. That's different from people who think they know you based on who you were." They stood in comfortable silence until the wind picked up. "See you at 8?" Diana asked. "Wouldn't miss it." Day 4 brought the first port, a small Caribbean island promising beaches and shopping. Grace chose a yellow sundress and comfortable white sandals. She'd booked a beach break excursion, wanting relaxation over adventure. The beach was paradise. White sand, turquoise water, palm trees providing perfect shade. The tour included chairs, umbrellas, and lunch. Grace settled in with her book and sunscreen. "Mind if I join you?" Sophia stood nearby in a coral cover-up. "I thought you were doing the zipline tour." "Changed my mind. Heights and I had a disagreement." They spent the day alternating between swimming and reading, with breaks for fresh fruit and conversation. Local vendors passed by with jewelry and sarongs. Grace bought a silver anklet with tiny shells. "It's perfect," Sophia said as Grace fastened it. "A permanent reminder of today." "That's the idea." Lunch was grilled fish and plantains served on palm leaves. They ate with their feet in the sand, watching boats bob in the distance. "I never want to leave," Sophia sighed. "We could become beach bums, sell shell necklaces to tourists." "Don't tempt me." But eventually the excursion ended. Back on the ship, they showered off sand and salt, agreeing to meet for dinner. Grace chose white linen pants and a coral tank top for the evening. Casual dining tonight. She was grateful for a break from formal wear. The buffet offered local specialties alongside familiar options. She loaded her plate with jerk chicken and rice, finding a table with her trivia teammates. "There's our ringer." Ready for round 2 tonight? Already? I haven't recovered from last night's victory celebration. Hair of the dog, darling. Only cure. The evening passed in a blur of laughter and friendly competition. They placed second in trivia, respectable, considering the questions about sports. The piano bar called again, and Grace found herself at the microphone during open mic time. I don't know about this. Come on, Ashley urged. She'd appeared with her nurse friends, all matching in their enthusiasm. One song, the pianist suggested, At Last by Etta James. Grace knew it well, had sung it in her car countless times. The opening notes played and she closed her eyes, letting the music guide her. Her voice filled the space, rich and emotive. The room quieted, attention focusing on the woman in coral and white who sang like her heart was breaking and healing simultaneously. Applause erupted as the last note faded. Grace opened her eyes to find the room on its feet. "Damn, girl!" Ashley shouted. "Where have you been hiding that?" Grace blushed, escaping to her table. But requests followed. Could she do another? Just one more? She ended up performing 3 more songs, each one loosening something inside her chest. The crowd sang along to Don't Stop Believin' and swayed to The Way You Look Tonight. "You're glowing," Sophia whispered during a break. "I feel free." It shows. Day 5 dawned with rough seas. Grace gripped the bathroom counter as the ship rolled, reconsidering yoga. But Diana had mentioned that challenging conditions improved balance, so she pulled on black leggings and a pink sports bra. The class was smaller. Apparently she wasn't the only one feeling the waves. But Diana adapted the routine for stability, and Grace found the focus required actually helped her seasickness. "You're a trooper," Diana said after class. "Most people would have stayed in bed." "I'm tougher than I look." I never doubted it. Breakfast was light, toast and fruit while the ship continued its dance with the waves. Sophia appeared looking green. "I'm dying." "Dramamine and ginger ale. Trust me." They spent the morning in deck chairs, Sophia recovering while Grace read. The seas calmed by noon, bringing relief and appetites. "I'm starving," Sophia announced. "Is that weird?" "Completely normal. Let's get burgers." The afternoon brought a jewelry-making class. Grace had signed up on impulse, drawn to the idea of creating something beautiful. The instructor provided beads, wire, and tools, demonstrating basic techniques. Grace chose purple and silver beads, creating a bracelet that complemented her new anklet. Her fingers, once thick and clumsy, now moved with delicate precision. "You have natural talent," the instructor observed. "The color combination is perfect. Purple's my favorite. It suits you." She made earrings to match, then helped Sophia untangle her wire disaster. "How are you good at everything?" Sophia complained good-naturedly. "Hardly everything. You should see my pasta-making skills." "Fair point." Evening required decisions. The burgundy gown was wrinkled, leaving the black sequined number or the emerald. Grace chose emerald again, pairing it with her new jewelry. Margaret gasped when she arrived at dinner. "You look like a princess. Doesn't she, Thomas?" "Absolutely regal." The Texas couple had been replaced by 2 women from Canada who owned a vineyard. Wine talk dominated dinner, but Grace found it fascinating. "You must visit during harvest season," one insisted. "We'll put you to work, but the wine is worth it." "I might take you up on that." After dinner, the ship's production cast performed a Broadway revue. Grace had purchased tickets months ago, drawn to the promise of show tunes and sequins. She found her seat in the theater, program clutched excitedly. The lights dimmed and magic began. The performers sang and danced through decades of Broadway hits, costume changes happening at lightning speed. Grace knew every word, mouthing along silently. During Defying Gravity, tears slipped down her cheeks. The performer in green hit every note while suspended above the stage, and Grace felt her own sensation of flight. "Powerful, isn't it?" The woman beside her offered a tissue. "Sorry, I'm not usually a crier." "Don't apologize. Art should move us." The finale brought the audience to its feet. Grace clapped until her hands hurt, energized despite the late hour. She walked the decks afterward, too wound up for sleep. The stars were brilliant away from light pollution. She found herself at the bow, king of the world, moment and all. "Thought I might find you here." Diana joined her, now a regular companion for late-night contemplation. "How was the show?" "Transcendent. I feel like I could fly." "Maybe you can. Maybe you already are." They talked about dreams and fears, about the courage required to change. Diana shared her own story, leaving corporate law to teach fitness, disappointing her family, but saving herself. The hardest part was admitting I'd been living someone else's life. "Yes," Grace breathed. "Exactly that." Day 6 brought another port, this one featuring historic sites and markets. Grace dressed practically, khaki shorts and a purple tank top, her brown hair in a ponytail. She'd booked a walking tour, wanting to explore beyond the beach. The guide was a local woman with encyclopedic knowledge and infectious enthusiasm. Their small group wandered cobblestone streets, learning about pirates and colonialism, revolution and rebuilding. "This church survived 3 hurricanes," the guide explained. "Like the people here, it bends but doesn't break." Grace touched the weathered stones, feeling kinship with survival against odds. The market exploded with colors and scents. Vendors called out offers, displaying fruit Grace couldn't name and spices that made her sneeze. She bought vanilla beans and local coffee, imagining future dinner parties where she'd share these treasures. "You drive hard bargain," the coffee vendor said approvingly after their negotiation. "I learned from the best." Her mother had taught her to never accept the first price, though she'd probably be horrified at her child's current appearance. Lunch was at a family restaurant recommended by the guide. Grace tried dishes she couldn't pronounce, each bite a new adventure. The owner's daughter, maybe 7 years old, complimented her bracelet. "I made it myself." "You make me one?" The girl's English was careful but clear. "I don't have my supplies." But the mother appeared with string and beads, apparently a common request from tourists. Grace spent 20 minutes teaching the girl basic patterns, their language barrier overcome by demonstration. "Beautiful!" The girl held up her creation proudly. "You're a natural." The mother refused payment for lunch, insisting Grace's impromptu lesson was worth more than food. Back on the ship, salt and sweat demanded another shower. Grace stood under the spray, amazed at how comfortable she'd become in her skin. No more rushed showers avoiding mirrors, no more harsh criticism of every perceived flaw. She chose a white sundress for evening, pairing it with her gold sandals. The sunset deck party was in full swing when she arrived. A steel drum band played while passengers danced and drank rum punches. "Grace, perfect timing." Ashley waved her over to where the nurse crew had claimed a prime spot. "We're teaching Beth line dancing. It's not going well." Beth, the head nurse, was indeed struggling with the electric slide. Grace joined in, muscle memory from wedding receptions kicking in. Soon half the deck was sliding right and left, laughing at missteps. "You're a party starter," Beth panted during a water break. "Just following the fun." Dinner was casual again, buffet style with outdoor seating. Grace loaded her plate with seafood and found Sophia saving a table. "Heard you were teaching jewelry making in port." News travels fast on a ship. Everything travels fast here, including gossip, germs, and apparently my inability to tan evenly. Sophia displayed sunburned stripes from her tank top. "Aloe vera, the spa sells it." "You're like a gorgeous, all-knowing cruise fairy godmother." They watched the sunset paint the sky impossible colors. Other diners came and went, but they lingered over dessert and conversation. "Can I tell you something?" Sophia's voice was serious. "When I got divorced, I thought my life was over. 43 and starting over felt impossible. But watching you this week, you're starting over too, aren't you? And you make it look like an adventure instead of a catastrophe." "It's both," Grace admitted. "Some days more one than the other. But you're doing it, living authentically despite the fear." "The fear's still there. I just decided it doesn't get to drive anymore." "I want that on a t-shirt." They talked until staff started stacking chairs. The night was young by cruise standards, so they wandered to the casino. Grace had avoided it so far, but Sophia wanted to try the slots. $20. That's my limit." Grace watched her friend feed bills into machines, lights flashing with each spin. The casino energy was infectious, hope and desperation in equal measure. "I'm up $5. Quick, what should I do? Cash out while you're ahead? You're no fun." But Sophia took the advice, proudly clutching her $25 ticket. "Drinks are on me. Well, they're free anyway, but I'm taking credit." They found the wine bar, a quieter space with leather chairs and jazz music. Grace ordered a Pinot Noir, savoring the adult sophistication of the moment. "In my old life, I drank beer," she confided. "Pretended to like it because that's what was expected." "What else did you pretend?" "Everything. Interests, hobbies, dreams. I played a character so long I forgot I was acting." "But you remember now?" "Most days. This trip is helping solidify things. To remembering ourselves." Sophia raised her glass. They clinked, and Grace felt another piece click into place. Day 7 arrived too quickly. Only 3 more nights at sea. Grace dressed carefully for yoga, her lucky purple leggings and black sports bra. She'd grown attached to the morning ritual. "My star student," Diana beamed. "I have a proposition. Want to help me demonstrate partner poses?" "I don't know." "You're steady and strong. Perfect for what I have planned." So Grace found herself at the front, helping Diana show proper form for supported stretches. Their bodies moved in sync, trust building with each pose. See how Grace maintains her center while supporting her partner? This is about communication without words. The class applauded when they finished. Several people approached Grace afterward with questions about her practice. "You should teach," one woman said. "You have a calming presence." "Diana's the teacher. I'm just learning." "We're all just learning," Diana corrected. "Some of us are further along the path." Breakfast brought an announcement. Rough seas expected in the afternoon. Grace made plans accordingly, booking a spa appointment while the ship was still steady. The spa was a haven of eucalyptus scents and soft music. Grace had splurged on a full body massage, something she'd never done as her former self. Any areas of concern? The therapist was a soft-spoken woman with strong hands. "Shoulders and back, I carry tension there." "Don't we all? Just relax and breathe." For 50 minutes, Grace melted under skilled touch. Knots she didn't know existed released. When it ended, she felt restructured. "You're like a new person," the therapist said. If only she knew. Grace floated to the relaxation room, where windows showcased endless ocean. She dozed in a heated lounger, body humming with contentment. Lunch required effort she didn't possess. Room service delivered a salad and fruit plate while she lounged on her balcony in a hotel robe. The predicted seas had arrived, but her cabin's position minimized the rolling. She used the quiet afternoon to journal, something her therapist had suggested, but she'd resisted. Now words flowed like water, pages filled with observations about the trip, about herself, about possibilities waiting at home. A knock interrupted her writing. "Sophia, what are you wearing?" Her friend stood in the doorway wearing what appeared to be a shower curtain fashioned into a dress. "It's toga night. Didn't you get the memo?" "I definitely missed that." "No worries. I brought supplies." Soon, Grace found herself draped in a purple sheet, of course, that Sophia pinned and tucked into something resembling elegant drapery. "You look like a goddess," Sophia declared. "You look like you raided housekeeping." Also accurate. The dining room had transformed into ancient Rome, complete with plastic columns and grapevines. Most passengers had embraced the theme with varying success. When in Rome, Thomas shrugged, his sheet secured with what appeared to be maritime rope, Margaret had fashioned an elaborate headpiece from costume jewelry. The Canadians wore matching togas with wine-themed accessories. "This is ridiculous," Grace laughed as their waiter appeared in a toga serving prime rib. "Ridiculously fun," Margaret corrected. Wine flowed freely. Apparently, toga night came with relaxed policies. Grace found herself teaching their table a drinking game from college, surprised the memory remained. "I never thought I'd see Thomas doing shots," Margaret giggled after losing a round. "What happens at sea stays at sea," he replied, downing his punishment. After dinner, the pool deck hosted toga games. Grace joined the human chariot races, holding Sophia's hands while they raced other pairs. They came in last, but one most dramatic collapse. "I think I broke my toga," Sophia wheezed. "Safety pins in my cabin. Come on." They repaired wardrobe malfunctions while laughing at photos Sophia had taken throughout the night. "Look at this one. You're glowing like you swallowed moonlight." Grace studied the image. The woman in purple did look luminous, joy radiating from every angle. "Send that to me?" "Already done." They returned to find the Toga Olympics in full swing. She exhaled, letting out a breath she didn't know she'd been holding. Grace was met with wild applause, cheers, and whistling. It was a surreal moment, and she felt a wave of emotions wash over her: exhilaration, relief, and a newfound sense of confidence. As the night began to wind down, Grace found herself outside, catching her breath under the starry sky. The cool breeze reminded her of the whirlwind of emotions the summer had brought. A smile played on her lips as she realized this was the end of a chapter, but certainly not the end of her story. "Goodbye, summer," she thought. "You were unforgettable." And so, Grace's last night at the piano bar ended on a high note, marking the conclusion of a remarkable season full of music, laughter, and unforgettable memories. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to check out my other socials if you want more content, early access, behind the scenes, and more. All links down below.